don't believe him, not for 1 second. And certainly that ended up being the case because this is what it is. This is a disaster for Jerry Jones. This is a bad, bad situation. And I think this is something that's going to taint whatever legacy he hoped to have because this is not a football decision. He can slice it any way he wants to. Micah Parsons is a superstar caliber player in the National Football League. You traded him for 2 late first-round picks. That's late. The Green Bay Packers haven't had a top 10 pick since 2009. They're usually in contention. This is going to be a low first-round pick. You made them younger. You made them better defensively. Okay, so you take those things into consideration, and they're within the NFC conference. You know what? If you're going to trade Micah Parsons, trade him out of the conference, or trade him to somebody like New Orleans or somebody like that. You don't trade him to a Green Bay Packers team, who, by the way, is the last team to whip your ass in the playoffs. When you win the playoffs, the people that bust your tail was the Green Bay Packers. And so the reason why this is kind of something, Cam and D.O., that's going to taint Jerry Jones is because in the end, we're all looking at it and we know this is not purely a football decision. 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, a defensive tackle who had a down year last year, does not equate to a superstar at age 26 that is Micah Parsons. By the way, Clark is 3 years older. It doesn't equate to that. If you had made this deal in March and opened the floodgates to everybody, then there's no question that you would have had a better deal offered to you than the deal that you just agreed to. Last year with CeeDee Lamb, when you waited till August to sign him, you cost yourself like $64 million. $64 million in space that you could have utilized to get additional talent on the squad. So you waiting and waiting and waiting, that's not new to us. That's bad, but it's not new to us. What's new to us is that this was clearly not for football reasons. This was because you thought you had a handshake agreement with a young man that was basically pleading with you, talk to my representation. And you ignored him. And by the way, it's the same agent you're going to have to deal with when it comes to George Pickens if you want to re-sign him, assuming he plays lights out and he's somebody you want to keep on your roster because he's got the same agent as Micah Parsons. All of these things that you take into consideration for Jerry Jones to make this move, I mean, for me personally, it doesn't bother me. This is going to give me more stuff to laugh about. But on this particular morning, I don't like to see Jerry put himself in this kind of position. It looks very, very bad. This is not a good day for the Dallas Cowboys at all.
Cam, I want to kick it to you. Are you surprised?
Absolutely not. I'm more surprised that, you have a situation where, Stephen A., your words, this is not a football decision. If anything, I will combat that and say this is everything about the football decision.
Okay.
Trading Micah Parsons freed up $24 million in 2025 salary cap space, boosting availability funds for over $44 million. On top of that, at the bare minimum here, you can potentially get 3 good players for the price of 1. Now, granted, is Micah Parsons a cornerstone player for the Dallas Cowboys? Absolutely. Being able to garner 52.5 sacks over a 4-year span, unheard of, exceptional. But when you're saying price to value, Jerry Jones has identified and said this: what somebody was willing to pay a person, I was not willing to pay. In order for you to get the person that is still up on the contract for the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to have to pay top dollar, which the Green Bay Packers did. When I'm looking at this whole situation, I'm saying, hey, is this an emotional impact to the locker room? Yes. But for the betterment of the locker room, you have an opportunity to get 3 potential players for future situations. That is undoubtedly something that you will want to say as a decision maker. But here's the thing, though, Stephen A. and Dan, to think about. We will know if this is a good trade for the Green Bay Packers in less than 6 months. We won't know if this is a good trade for the Dallas Cowboys until about 2 to 3 years after those picks have already made their impact in the NFL.
I think we're dealing with some technical difficulties with Cam, but I want to kick it to you. It's a good time to pause anyway, because we're on polar opposites. Stephen A. just said this is personal, not business, and then Cam saying this is purely football. But obviously with the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to take some time to see how it all pans out. Green Bay, he says the next 6 months, we're going to know whether this was the right choice. Where are you on this?
If it's purely football, it's a disaster, and it's one of the worst trades in the history of the organization. You don't... Cam knows this. There's only so many game wreckers. There's people who change games. This guy is one of the 6 or 7 game wreckers in the NFL. You don't give that player away for the 30th pick of the draft for 2 years in a row. And while I agree with Cam, like, we're going to know with Green Bay, because Green Bay unquestionably is the team now most equipped to beat the Eagles. They should be in the NFC Championship game. I know what Green Bay's defense is going to be like. I don't have to figure out if this is a win for them. I know. Now, they got to go win the Super Bowl for the ultimate prize to pay off. But there's no way that if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you're better. There's no way you're better as a football team. There's no way that you're better in a locker room. I've heard the stories or the thoughts of culture, and while I respect that, I've never heard anybody talk about Micah being a bad worker or a bad teammate or not a competitive dude. And so that's what you want out of your best players, is to be these guys that every single Sunday show up. They failed in the playoffs not because the defense got boat raced, because the offense didn't show up. Of course, that's going to be frustrating. And so I look from a football perspective. Stephen A is 100% right. To get that late of a trade-off, pick-wise, is such a miss by the Dallas Cowboys. No one is sitting here saying trading Micah Parsons is the dumbest thing ever. Everybody from a football perspective is saying when you
had you done it earlier and opened the floodgates, because competition might have compelled somebody else to be willing to give up more collateral as opposed to it being right now. This is why we're bringing up Luka Doncic and we're bringing up the Dallas Mavericks in the trade that took place, because you didn't talk to anybody but the Lakers. And it was the last minute. And you didn't put it out on an open market where you could make sure you get an abundance of assets in return for that superstar caliber player who's only about 25 years of age. Similar principle here with Micah Parsons. It's not that he's gone. It's what you got for him in return, but most importantly, it's why he's gone. Because if you're Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, you knew what the situation was financially, cap-wise, and beyond months ago. Last year, when Micah Parsons wanted you to sign him earlier, you knew it then. But you wanted to keep him because you don't let stars walk out the door if you're Jerry Jones. But then suddenly you do. Why? It comes back to the why. I'm sitting in front of the man last week, and this man was fixated on the fact that he got a call from Micah Parsons that said, don't call me anymore. Call my agent. And then he said, quote, I don't play that bleep. I don't play that. This is what he said. You've got David Mulugeta, who is recognized as one of the elite agents in the business. He refused to talk to the man. He said so.
Yeah, there's a reason we have representation.
That's a reason we have representation. So he's taking it personally. You see Michael Irvin. You see Troy Aikman speak on it. You've seen Emmitt Smith speak on it. This was different. It wasn't just football.
I'm glad you said it wasn't just football.
Correct.
Cam, I want to bring you back in here, and you alluded to a point. Why am I now only hearing about culture involving Micah Parsons?
It never happened before.
I've never heard, and that he's not one of the most well-liked players. Cam, why is that now the conversation?
I'm gonna get to that point, Molly, but I just want to make this point in regards to the trade. I'm not saying that you do not miss something of impact with a player like Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. I agree with Dan. Bro, a record to say the absolute least.
Yeah.
What he's been able to do, while he's been in this league has been nothing less than amazing. But what I was saying at the end was, you don't know price to value what you're going to get from the Packers. You can find that out in 6 months or less. For the Dallas Cowboys, you find out in 2 to 3 years, maybe even more, after you've garnered the picks and or made some type of decision of acquisitions with those picks. See, that's where I'm at with it, and that's where I'm able to say this has nothing to do with personal. This has everything to make more sense to put the Dallas Cowboys in contention. Yes, is it a 30th pick or a late 20 pick? Yes, cool, but that still gives you 2 picks. 2 first-round picks for 2 years, and that's extremely valuable.
But Cam, 3 years from now, Dak Prescott's going to be in his 12th or 13th season. And so if we're talking about continuing to build a football team that you think Jerry Jones is only going to be going so much longer. And so to take, there's no way football sense-wise that when you took Micah Parsons and you told everybody this guy's going to be on a Hall of Fame trajectory, that you sit there and go, in 4 years, we'll get rid of him. And we'll get rid of him you got fleeced.
Right.
I think the most shocking part about this, Cam, Stephen A. Molly, is for a man that is ridiculously successful business-wise, he got punked business-wise. If we're just being candid, David Mulugeta punked him.
I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it that way. Only in this regard, Dan.
Yeah.
The word punked, I don't think is applies and it's appropriate because the whole point with Jerry is that to me, business went out of his mind. And he's like, the hell
And that's why
with
you're
you.
saying personal.
The hell with you.
Sure.
You know, I'm not going to be punked. You're not going to tell me what to do. I own this organization. I put myself on the line. I contemplated, my wife and the family were worried about me committing suicide because of the kind of debt that I was in when I purchased this franchise and the kind of hole that I put myself in, having three $1 billion lawsuits against me. This is the kind of stuff that he brought up last week. He regurgitates this stuff over and over because it's in his mind. But I want to say this, and I want to get back to Cam, because Cam, let me tell you what bothers me about superstar talents like yourself when you come on the air